Welcome students. So we are in the process of learning about why manufacturers extend credit and what are the motives. So we learned in the previous class about the operations related motive, that is the operating motive and the marketing motive. Now let's talk about the very interesting motive or very useful motive for which they maximize their sales or they sell on the credit. That is a financial motive. In this financial motive, because the ultimate purpose of any business is the maximization of the value of the firm. That maximization of the wealth, and that happens through the maximization of the value of the firm. So when we are selling in the market, maybe in cash or on credit, ultimate purpose is the maximization of return on investment, and that's possible when you sell maximum in the market. So financial motive is, first important motive is that investment of surplus cash. Sometimes when the companies have surplus cash, when the companies have surplus cash, they have to invest that cash somewhere, because keeping cash is another current asset, and we have already learned about that keeping cash as cash is not useful. It has a cost. So it means that cash should be moving within the organization or out of the organization, within the firm or outside the firm. If it is in the movement, it is productive. If it is stagnant, if it is stopped, if it is not doing anything, then it only has a cost, it has no returns. So sometime when you have surplus cash and you weigh different options where to invest that cash, then this may be one very useful option, that why not to manufacture more, sell on credit, load the credit sales with the interest factor, and if they are able to load the credit sales with the interest factor, which is little more than the other options available or other avenues of investment available, then it is always useful to sell on credit, invest their surplus cash in the credit sales, and maximize the sales, maximize the profits, and maximize the returns. First motive. Because when we have surplus cash within the company, we will have to look for that where to invest this cash. If it is not desirable to sell on credit, say for example, if the buyer or maybe the distribution network, they are not ready to pay the interest cost, or they are paying the interest cost which is paying returning back to the company, it is much less as compared to the other avenues of investment of the cash, then there is no point in investing into the say credit sales and then increasing the sales, because the return on that investment is not comparable with the other avenues, or at least not more than the other avenues. It's always advisable not to sell on credit and not to invest their surplus cash. But if it is advisable or if it is useful, then this is the first motive, that surplus cash has to be reasonably or rationally invested somewhere, and one important option is invest that cash in the credit sales. That has the multiplier effect. Your market increases, your sales increase, your existence in the market goes up, and ultimately your cost is recovered, your price is recovered and recovered with the profit. So company's profits also increase, and ultimately this is the purpose of business, that we use the cash as a capital, and if that is available, then there is no problem, and we can maximize the sales by selling on the credit because we have surplus cash to invest. Second reason is, again very important and interesting reason, is the financial market tariff. Important reason is the financial market tariff. Now what is the financial market tariff? I will discuss with you with the help of a small example. Say there are the two parties. One is the seller, and that is manufacturer, we call that is the A, and here is the buyer, that is B, right? A and B, he is the manufacturer and he is the seller. B wants to buy goods worth rupees 10,000 from goods worth rupees 10,000 from this 10,000 from this is the requirement, and A says to B that I am ready to sell you, but pay me on cash. I am ready to sell you for 10,000 rupees, but you have to pay me on cash. He is not agreeing for the credit sales. B want to buy the product at any cost, but B doesn't have that 10,000 rupees in cash in hand. So what will happen? B will borrow this money, borrow these funds from bank. Bank is the one important player in the financial market, and bank charges 20% rate of interest, and the credit period is 3 months. Credit period is 3 months. In this case, now how much interest B will pay to B will pay to the bank by borrowing 10,000 rupees from the bank at the rate of 20% per annum. This 20% is per annum, and the credit period which he wants the credit and he want to buy the goods on credit is 3 months. In this case, if you calculate, this will come out as how much? 10,000 into 20% into 3 by 12, right? So how much this works out? This will work out as, say, rupees 500. For a period of 3 months, by borrowing 10,000 rupees from the bank at the rate of 20% per annum, he ends up paying 500 rupees to the bank as the interest charge. Now this 10,000 rupees he will take and he will pay to the A. A will get the cash. Now you see, A will invest that money in the bank, for example. He has no other option. He invests that money in the market, and we know it that there is a difference in the interest rates between the lending between lending and borrowing. When banks get the deposits, they pay lesser rate of interest on deposits, and when they lend as a loan, they charge higher rate of interest. So here, for example, this 10,000 rupees again go to the bank, and this again goes to the bank, and it is 10,000 rupees. A is investing in the bank, and bank, for example, pays him 18% rate of interest. Again, how much period is here? That is 3 months, and this is the situation. So in this case, if you calculate this, how much this amount works out as? Rupees 450. This 500 rupees which B has paid to the bank, and then he paid 10,000 rupees to A by borrowing the money from the bank. A has invested that money in the bank and has got interest on deposits at the rate of 18%. I am telling 18%, the difference is 2, but it can be more in the practical situation. So here means there is a loss of 50 rupees. Loss of 50 rupees. This is a loss of 50 rupees to whom? To both the sides. Rupees 50, both the sides. He paid 50 rupees more, he got 50 rupees less. So who got this 50 rupees? Financial market. This money has gone to the financial market. So to avoid the financial market tariff, what they could have done is, so that nobody is losing this 50 rupees, what they could have done is, A, rather than, because A knew it that I have to deposit this money in the bank and I will get 18%. So why not I should extend the credit to B, and this 10,000 rupees sales I will make on the credit period of 3 months. Credit period of 3 months at the rate of 20% interest. So at the end of 3 months, he would have ended up getting 500 rupees more. But he didn't agree for that. Then he got 10,000, deposited in the bank, got the return 450 rupees. Ultimately, both lost 50 rupees in this process, and that 50 rupees have gone to the financial market. Now the option could be, better option could be that he could have extended the credit 20% by loading 20%. So it means at the end of 3 months you could have got 10,500 rupees. Now how much he is getting? He is getting 10,450 rupees. And how much he is paying? He is paying 10,500 rupees back to the bank. Better option would have been, or normally remains, that again A is loading with the 20% and B is also paying 20%. He is getting 5% and he is paying he is getting 500 and he is paying 500. Or maximum, if they want to help each other, A could have reduced the rate of interest to 19%. He will also pay 19%. So in this case, what would have been the situation? A is getting 475 rupees, he is paying 475 rupees. So it's a little loss to him. As compared to this figure, there is a loss of 20 rupees, but it is a gain of 25 rupees, but it is a gain of 25 rupees as compared to the this situation. He would have ended up getting 475 rupees, but he has not agreed for that and got 450 rupees. And in this case, he also lost 500 rupees. So it means 50 rupees. So in this case, they could have easily agreed that, okay, I will load it with 19%. He is also getting something, he is also getting something. He is getting 475, he is paying 475. There is a gain of 25% or 25 rupees to both the sides. That could have been a better option. So to meet these objectives and to avoid the funds to be lost in the financial market tariff, as in this case we have seen that rupees 50 are lost in the financial market, receivables or the credit sales are extended by the companies, by the manufacturers to the customers. This is the financial market, it's the magic of financial market, or this is the, say, concept of the financial market, that how we have to avoid the financial market tariff. And to avoid the financial market tariff, A extends credit to B, and either at the credit period which the A wants, or sometime mutually agreed credit cost of capital and for the period. So in that case, either A gets benefited or B has to pay in any way the 500 rupees, or both of them are getting benefited by 25 rupees. So A is getting 25 rupees more as compared to the returns from the bank. B is paying 25 rupees less as compared to the interest he is paying to the bank. So they both could have enjoyed, but nobody has enjoyed in this case, because that 50 rupees have gone to the financial market as tariff. Then is the price discrimination. Price discrimination. People say that best way to increase the sales as well as the returns on the sales is, you can sell at both the ways, cash and credit, but the best way is you sell both ways, cash also and credit also. As we discussed in the previous class also, that first objective is selling on cash, and if people who are the buyers or the parts of the distribution network, if they are ready to pay the increased price, so what's the harm? Yes, the firm has to calculate the risk, possibilities of converting those credit sales into the bad debts, that has to be taken into account. We will have to evaluate the worth of that buyer. Financial reputation of the buyer should be known to the seller, and if the financial reputation is acceptable or the credibility of the buyer is at the acceptable level, there is no harm, because he is ready to pay the increased price. So you can easily discriminate in the price, and you have the justification as a seller. I am selling on the credit, I have the right to load my credit sales with the interest factor. So there is no point. People who are ready to buy on cash, sell them at the cash price. People who are ready to buy on credit, sell them at the credit price, and everybody is happy in that case. That's another motive. Then pushing the products. Pushing the products. Naturally, we have to push the product in the market. Push the product in the market. So here people say that if you want to maximize the sales, or you want to avoid the situation of mounting inventories, it's better to sell on the credit always, provided your buyers on the credit should be enjoying a good financial reputation. So you have to rate your buyers, A, B and C. A means excellent buyers having excellent reputation, B means moderate or acceptable level of financial credibility, and C means poor. So we can have a credit policy like there is no restriction of credit to the A. Then here also we will have to be say some judicious, means we have to take care of all the factors. In case of the C, we have to be selective, careful, and if we feel that we can expect some bad debts, but even after adjusting for some bad debts, so if you can make the sales, it's not bad. So here you can say when you are selling to A, you can charge a different price. When you are selling to B, you can charge a different price, and since here you are taking the maximum risk by selling to C, who has a say doubtful credibility in the market, you can increase the price. So we are serving the needs of both all the three customers, or you sell maximum to him, you sell moderate to him, or you sell minimum to him. So that way we can manage the risk, but not selling in the market on the credit. If it is possible that our capacity is production capacity is fully exhausted and we are able to sell maximum on cash and part of the credit sale to A and to the B only, then there is no point to sell to C. That's okay, accepted. But if there is no problem in the production process and we can produce as much as possible, then certainly we should weigh this option that if the risk is worth taking, or the quantum of the risk we are going to take, if it is a calculated risk, we must take this risk. That way, as I told you, that selling on the credit and maximizing the markets has the multiplier impact. Your increased presence, your increased markets, increased sales. Maybe when we are selling to the C categories, say for example 5% of the credit sales become the bad debts, then what makes a difference? We have already loaded with such a high interest cost that even 5% of the bad debts are not the bad debts in the real sense. So we should think of, so for pushing the product in the market, we can do this kind of the say calculations, and if we are ready as a seller to take the calculated risk, we must take this risk. That will give us the multiplier effect, and we would have many advantages by expanding the market. Then we have the last motive, that is the motivating distribution channels. It's a very critical point. See, in the market, distribution channels, distributors, wholesaler, and especially retailers, who is the last channel and directly connected to the customer. They act as, retailers act as the agents of buyers, not as the agents of sellers, because he is more concerned about his customer. He is more concerned about the well-being of his buyer. So he would like to serve his customer in the best possible way, or in the way in which the customer feels happy, and always he remains his permanent customer, he doesn't become his former customer. So whatever he is going to sell to him, or he is going to advise to buy from him, that he would always keep in mind the buyer's interest, not the seller's interest, because sellers are multiple, buyers also multiple, but he can afford to lose the seller, but he cannot, or he can afford to lose the manufacturer, but he cannot afford to lose the customer. So normally the distribution channels, especially the retailers who are directly connected to the customers, they are the agents of buyers, not the agents of sellers or the manufacturers. So in that case, now if you want to change as a manufacturer the retailer's loyalty towards manufacturers, if you want to shift it from the buyers to the, or customer to the manufacturer, then what we have to do? Then what we have to do? We have to give him the credit. We have to sell him on the credit. We have to give him the option that okay, you keep the product and sell it in the market, and we will give you this much incentive, or you enjoy the credit period for 2 months, and after 2 months you can remit the price of this much of the stock back to us. Now in this case, what will happen? The company which is giving him the maximum credit period and maximum other incentives, maximum credit period and the maximum incentives, he would like to sell that company's product in the market. There are the companies who are not otherwise finding the markets, or normally customers are not intending to buy their products. But when we go to the market with the mind fully prepared that we want to buy this product of this company, this variant, but there at the shop or the store, the seller changes your mindset, or the retailer changes your mindset. You buy this product, it's more useful as compared to this. And many times we change the decisions. So why he is doing all that? For example, if he is selling 5 companies' products, if he is selling the, say, 5 products or 5 different companies' products, A, B, C, D and E, then for him, whether the customer wants A, B, C, D or E, he is hardly affected. Because A is also giving him some margin, B is also giving some margin, C is also giving some margin, D is also giving a margin, and E is also giving a margin. But where he is having the maximum benefit, he would like to push that product to the customer, and he would like to help the company that you buy this company's product. Why? Because of number of incentives, and one important incentive is that he is gaining maximum by buying on credit, keeping the stock, selling in the market and remitting the payment after 2 months. So it means experts say, marketing experts say, that it's not only that you can buy the retailer's loyalty by giving him financial incentives, you can buy the retailer's loyalty by giving him the maximum credit period also. That is also possible, we can do that. And the companies who are giving him maximum credit period, or companies who are selling to the retailers or to the distribution networks on the credit, they are successful to sell more in the market rather than the companies who are not giving any credit, who are giving minimum credit for a minimum period of time. Then the retailer has no incentive. So he would say, it's your choice, you go for A, B, C, D or E. He is not bothered about that. He wants to sell the product. So he will make sure that a customer goes with the product. Whether he buys this or this product, he is not bothered about that. So there is one important say conclusion, that by giving the extended credit period and at the acceptable rate of interest or with the loading factor, the companies or manufacturers sometimes they can shift the loyalty of the retailers from the buyers to the manufacturers. Then he will have the reason to act as the agent of the manufacturer rather than acting as the agent of the customer. He can convince the customer. So he is gaining from both the sides. He is selling the product also, and he is selling the product of the company, which is giving him the maximum credit period. So apart from many other incentives, giving credit can also give the reasons that how to maximize the sales, or how to help the retailers to change their loyalty from the buyers to the sellers. So these are the different motives. We call it as investment of surplus cash. We go sell in the credit. Financial market tariff we have already understood. Price discrimination is the one important reason. Pushing the product and maximizing the sales is another reason. And motivating distribution channels or channel members is another important reason. These are the 3 important motives why sellers or manufacturers extend the credit and why they are selling on the credit in the market. So first go for cash, and after that credit. And credit and cash both makes the total sales. When you see the profit and loss account of the companies, they only show the total sales, they not bifurcate into cash or credit. So in that case, it means total sales, maximization of the sales, maximum presence in the largest market, and gaining or retaining the largest market share. Right? Now we move to the next part, and here we talk something about limitations of credit time. Limitations of the credit time. First limitation is the marginal cost consideration. First limitation is the marginal cost consideration. This limitation is such limitation which restricts the buyer now to buy on the credit beyond a credit period, because marginal cost consideration. There are now two parties, A and B, A is the manufacturer and B is the buyer. When you are or the MS or A is selling to B on the credit, A says if you want a credit period of 2 months, say interest factor will be 8%, I am talking about the annual. Then is if you want to have the credit period of 3 months, I will be charging 10% interest. If you want to have a credit period of say 4 months, then I will charge the interest 12%. And if you want to have a credit period of say 6 months, then I will charge the interest at the rate of 18%, because he has to charge the interest. So we are talking about the marginal cost consideration, right? Now here if you talk about the buyers or B as a buyer and his cost of capital. His cost of capital. So in this case, for example, if he has to see that how much interest he is asking for and how much is his cost of capital, he will make a comparison. And in that case, he will see that for me, he is charging 8% interest. So how much interest I am paying to the bank? For example, he buys on cash, then no interest, then there is no interest. And if he buys on credit, there is a 8% interest and the credit period is 8%, credit period is 8% and the credit period is 2 months. Now he will compare that if he is paying 8% interest to the manufacturer or to the company or to the supplier while buying on the credit, then at what rate he is getting the funds from the bank, that is 6%. So in this case, what he will do, he would borrow the funds. He will borrow the funds from the bank and then he will make the payment to the manufacturer, and then in this case he would see that at what rate he is borrowing. Now say here is not 6%, but the rate of interest here is like 10%. Rate of interest here is 10% from the bank. If he want to buy on cash, he will have to borrow money from the bank, or his cost of capital, for example, his opportunity cost is again 10%. So if he is earning 10% or if he is paying 10% to the bank and he is making the payment to him on cash, so it means how much interest he is paying to the bank? 10%. But if it is possible to have a credit for 2 months, he is sufficient, he is happy with the credit of 2 months, for the credit period of 2 months, and manufacturer is ready to sell him at 8%. So what will happen? He would like to buy for a credit period of 2 months. Or for example, here it is, say up to 10%, bank is charging 10% and for 3 months credit period, the manufacturer is also charging 10%. So where maximum he can go is, he can maximum go up to 3 months. But in this case, when you talk about the next month, that is the 4th month, if he borrows money from the bank, bank will charge 10% per annum, whereas the manufacturer is charging 12% per annum. So what will happen? He would restrict even the buyer, despite being the buyer. When we say the buyer's intention is always to minimize the present value of the money he is paying back to the seller, he himself would say that my credit period should not be 4 months, I would like to buy it for 3 months. Because here his cost of borrowing funds from the bank or his opportunity cost is equal to the cost he is paying to the manufacturer, maximum. Beyond that, there is a imbalance. He is paying less to the bank and he is paying more to the manufacturer. So he himself would say that anyhow, in any case, for example, in any situation, if he has to buy the product for a 4 months credit period, in that case what would he do? He would borrow the money from bank and he would pay it to the manufacturer. So he would not be asking for the say credit period or the credit for the 4th month and he would say that yes, I will be paying you in cash, So because he is only paying 10% to the bank rather than paying 12% to the manufacturer, so he would buy or like to buy on cash if it is a 4 months requirement. Normally what will he do, that he will limit his credit period himself, being a buyer, up to 3 months. And that is the reason that there is a limitation on the credit period. Marginal cost consideration, because in that case marginal cost for the buyer will increase because the loading factor firm in the 4th month is very high from the manufacturer as compared to his opportunity cost or the borrowing from the bank. So he would like to go for a credit period of 3 months rather than a credit period of 4 months. So this is the one important reason, which is limiting the credit period to be expected or to be enjoyed by the buyers, and companies also have to have the reasons to load their credit sales because they have to recover the cost of capital. The other important limitation is the tax consideration, which is again very, very interesting and serious consideration. That consideration or that limitation of not allowing the credit period to be extended to any limit or any extent or any number of months, that the reasons for that I'll discuss with you in the next class. Thank you very much.